so I have a little bit of an update. I did forget to film some of this, so I do want to show you a little bit of the aspects of what I did since the playthrough. I didn't do too much, but I did break down the guitar, and now I'm working on hopefully a wood shim for the neck pocket, just to kind of brace it a little more from moving side to side. So let me show you that now. All right, the room's a little bit haywire right now, but yeah, I did break down the body. See, we got a little bit of markings here. That's actually from my rubber mallet. I'm just trying to kind of poach these out a little bit. Kind of just tapped them side to side just to get them to wiggle a little bit so I can pull them out with the vice grips. It's nothing, you know, that can probably wipe off with anything, but I'm going to do a finish sand anyway. There's no, you know, indents in the wood from it. It just was the rubber making that mark. And we did take the bridge posts out, as you can see. They look pretty clean, although they were kind of a pain in the ass to get out. The only one that shows a little bit of wear from that is this one. That's from when the ground was. And that's because I was taking it in and out a couple times during the wiring process. Like I said, I did have some issues with the wiring initially, so I kept thinking it was a ground issue. So I did investigate that a couple times. But I think with a finished sand, you're not going to notice anything like that. That's what I will begin working on shortly. But along with that, I'm working on a wood shim for the neck here. As you can see, it's pretty good. Oops, it's backwards. It's pretty flush. Backwards again. There we go. Pretty flush. I just have to thin it down. It's a little wide, and what this is some craft wood that I purchased from the craft shop. So what I did is I just traced it in the neck pocket with a pencil, cut it out with a razor knife. Just took my time with that so not to crack it. And I got the shape good, and now I am just taking a piece of 220 grit and just thinning it out some. We're pretty close to the width of 3 pieces of sandpaper, and that's what my shim was. We just got a little bit more to work, and then I'm going to try to glue that in place. That way I know it's not going to fold or shift around and then create a problem later on down the road. So I'm going to try to get that in place, and then I'll start the finish sanding process. I just wanted to give you an update because I began this without filming, and then I was like, shoot, let me get a little update video. So I'll keep getting this down, and then I'll get back on camera for the glue up, just so you can see it in place. I'll probably do a dry fit first with the neck, just to ensure the fit is good, and then we'll move on. All right, another little update from where we were. So we've been working at this little piece of shim here. Like I said, this is some craft wood from Michael's. It's basswood actually, which is the body wood, so that worked out good. So what I've been doing is, after I cut it to shape, I just put it on a flat piece of wood, and I have a mini fret leveling beam, and I've just been kind of working at it just to thin it down. As you can see, this is the size of it originally, and this is what we thinned it down to. I believe it is about where we need it to be. Here is the comparison to the 3 pieces of sandpaper thickness, and you might not be able to see too much, but I'm pretty sure we are about there. I might just need to do a couple more swipes with the beam, and we will be good. So I initially was thinning it down like this, and it was just starting to get harder to grab as it thinned out, so I ended up using my fret leveling beam and was able to get it down a little bit more. It made it way easier actually, so I kind of wish I did that from the start, but I think we're about there. So I'll get a different angle and probably clean up this mess here, and we'll see how that fits. All right, let's Let's move that back up a little bit. Let's wipe some of this excess off. And again, we're just trying to be as careful as we can because it is super, super thin. And it will break very easily. Oh, that is going in great. Oops. That is beautiful. It's still a little too snug. Well, it might be perfect. Like I have to really jam it in there, but that's going to be a great fit. As you can see, it's almost seated. Ooh, you can't see that. It's almost seated in there perfectly. A little bit of a gap, and I can probably tighten that down a bit if I give a little pressure. It is almost there, though. I'm going to just take off a tiny bit more, and then I'm going to glue it. All right, so we did get everything apart, and we did get our shim in there. As you can see, our shim is right there. You can kind of see where it meets, slightly darker there. That's due to just applying some extra glue there just within the last hour and a half or so. Put some thin CA glue in there just to be sure that everything is glued up properly, and it kind of filled in a little bit of the gap there, and so it's definitely smoothed out. Other than a finish sand, there's another thing I want to try to not address. It's not an issue, but something I want to make slightly more comfortable. As you can see, I did trace out where our neck plate is going to be. Thinking I'm going to just sculpt this area down just a tiny bit and round it off just to make it slightly more comfortable. It's not uncomfortable to play, and the access to the upper frets isn't very inhibited or anything, but I think I can make it better. So I'll probably sculpt down the back where that neck plate is just a little bit, and I wanted to just make sure I knew where that was going to be as to not sculpt it down too much. And I think I may sculpt this down a bit, this little cutaway, round it over a little bit and sculpt it down a bit more just to kind of get my hand access slightly better. Like I said, it's not horrible, but I think we can do a little bit better there. So, all right, I wanted to make sure we have that, and we have these, just to make sure we have as much protection as possible. All right, so what I'm thinking of doing is here on this bit of this heel, I'm gonna take this 60 grit and just kind of sculpt down that area, and then we'll move up the grits a little as we go. All right, I think we are in a good place. So we did get a lot of sanding done today. We did a 320 grit with the orbital on the front, back, and sides. We did a couple passes with that. It was very smooth body as it was, so I didn't feel a need to do anything more aggressive starting out, and the 320 really did the trick. We did a couple passes, and then I took the discs off and then kind of went into this region and around these areas that were hard to get with the orbital. Then I moved on to sculpting this neck pocket area. As you can see, we did round this area down. It makes it way more comfortable on the hand. And we also sculpted down this area here, as you can see. We started out with something more along these lines. The only thing we did change with this is we just rounded over that edge slightly. Not much material came off, just a slight rounding, just for aesthetic reasons. And then we really sculpted this area down because that's where my hand will meet that upper fret access. And as you can see, my hand fits super nicely in that area now, and that's gonna make playability excellent. So I'm very excited about that. Very excited to finish this up, get my neck on there, and just see how that feels in action. The way we went about doing that is we took some 60 grit here and just really knocked that area down as much as we could. Then we kind of rounded it over with a 80 grit and a 150 grit and got that where we wanted it. And once we got that, we ended up smoothing it out from 220 all the way to 600 in the final stages of the sanding. So that turned out great, and it turned out way better than I was anticipating, so I'm very happy. All right, so I thought I'd just come in and give a little bit of update about the neck. We got this taped off for the finishing and shaping, and I did say shaping because I thought we would do something a little different with this neck than I originally planned. Originally, I was just going to finish sand it and then get it ready for the finish staining and all that. And but I thought we'd do something a little different. I was thinking about a guitar I had not too long ago, but something that I saw recently that I regretted. I had a Dean ML Dimebag model. It was the Far Beyond Driven Tribute, and that had a nice soft V-shaped neck. It was something that I didn't anticipate liking so much, but something that felt super comfortable with my hand and that I miss a lot. Now, I thought maybe we would attempt to recreate that neck shape somewhat on this guitar. So as you see, I do have it taped off a bit. Just got that marked for my center line just as a point of reference, and just taped up the sides a bit just so I didn't knock those down too much. And I did watch some videos of how people attempted to do that because I don't have a template or even a point of reference at this time. And the people that I saw would use a sander, a belt sander, or a file and just kind of knock down this region here and get it like a nice straighter line to get that, V shape instead of this C shape that we have now. Let's begin that, and we'll get the neck shaped. Alright, so we do have all the finished sanding completed, and I'm really happy with the results. It's super smooth. I'm just going to go clean up these. I'm trying to get any of the wood particles off before we start finishing. As far as the neck shaping went, I'm super happy. You probably won't be able to tell too much of the different shape, but it does have a very slight V, and that is very reminiscent of the dime guitar that I was talking about. So I'm super happy with that. I'll try to see if we can get that in the shot. I did have a sharper V initially, but I did sculpt it down a bit here, so it just was a little bit more of a soft V shape. I did state in the other video that I think the dime guitar was a soft V, but I was reading some conflicting information based on his guitars, so I'm not 100% sure if he actually had a hard V or a soft V, but I did kind of opt more for a softer angle, and that was just slightly more comfortable to me, so I'm very happy with how that came out. Super smooth at this point, and yeah, I'm having a hard time kind of representing that in the shape on camera, but you can kind of see how it kind of slides over into a V as opposed to the C shape. But yeah, very happy and super comfortable. So I'm gonna go on and clean these up and get started on the finishing. The first thing I'm gonna do finish wise is I kind of thought, since I'm gonna go for a mostly black guitar, I'm not gonna state exactly what I'm gonna do finish wise. I'm gonna show you in a bit, but the base of the guitar is gonna be mostly black. I'm thinking I'm gonna try to dye this fretboard a bit and make it more in an ebony visual sense. So I've watched some videos on how people have done that, and they've done it different ways. I'm trying to do it as least expensive as I can. And I did see a video where a guy just lightly sanded his board down. I don't think that was necessary for me because it didn't look like there was any type of finish on it, but I did just do a light sanding. I think I just did 1,000 grit on it just to make it as kind of dull as possible, just so the stain will absorb there. So I think that's going to be fine. And the guy I saw used a, like a true black finish on his wood grain. I've seen people do different types of dye, like some I think leather dyes and some Indian ink, I believe, is what I saw Stumac. I'm going to try this because the guy on the video got good results. We're just going to see how it turns out. I think it's going to be good, and I'm not worried about any seepage or anything like that into the grain because I'm going to do this finish on the entire neck. Alright, I got a little overzealous with my staining and got on a roll and forgot to put the camera back on, so I do apologize that I couldn't show you the process and progress thus far. But we just really moved on to the body. I got the back and sides stained with a couple coats. It's not done yet, so we do have a little bit more road ahead as far as that goes, but we are using the same true black stain we used on the neck and fretboard, so that black pigment's going to be consistent as far as they go on the front, back, and the back and sides and fretboard and everything. The front's going to be slightly different. We will show you that shortly once I get this in a good place and we're done coating it. We'll move on to the front. Okay, so been having a little bit of phone issues, so therefore having some camera issues as well. So I've been doing a little bit of work off camera, but nothing major. Just pretty much the same thing as you saw prior. Applying stain, and then pretty much we were, I was wet sanding it back just to smooth it out some, and then applying more stain just to kind of get it the way I wanted. So I didn't speak much about kind of the plan, so we'll go into that now. So kind of trying to make this look rustic, relic a little bit, nothing major, just, kind of worn in. So I don't know if you can see, where are we at? Right here. Just seeing a little bit of the wood come through. So I kind of wanted just a light, smooth black stain on the back and sides. You can kind of see here, I kind of left that exposed a bit. And there's another area, right here. Kind of got a little wear here, come a bit of scratchings off. Reason for that, just because I kind of like that worn in look and feel. I know this is my first guitar, first time finishing stuff, so I figured probably would try to go that route, will probably be more beneficial to me. That way I have an excuse, sort of, not to make it look as perfect as possible. Plus I think it's going to look really cool, sort of James Hetfield inspired with his beat up V. It's not going to be quite that extreme, but just worn in. And I don't know, maybe as we get further into it, we're dinging it up a little bit more. But it's not all black, so I got the sides and back that stained black. Kind of more for that nice smooth sort of wood feel. And then the front, I'm going to use this Rit dye and do a kind of red burst. So I'm going to attempt that at least. And this is kind of an idea I got from Dan with Guns and Guitars. He uses Rit dye a lot, and he got some cool results with some burst patterns. The only thing that's kind of unfortunate is we don't really have the nicest wood grain to pop through, but I figure it's still going to look nice, and I think it's going to be kind of cool. So we'll go about doing that. I have to clean up this front a little bit more. I did get a little bit of the stain residue on there, and I cleaned it up a bit. I just need to sand it back a tiny bit more just to get some of that off, and then we'll be ready to start finishing. I know the way that he started about it was he put his main color on first, so that's going to be our black. We're going to coat the whole guitar with it. I did clean this up a tiny bit more. It really didn't do too much. I think I'm going to have to sand it down considerably more to get it as clean as that bare wood, but I'm going to try applying this and see what it's looking like. I think since it's a black and most of these stains are around the edges, we should be in a good place. So we'll go about trying that. So I just cut up some solo cups to put my dye in, and we'll start with this black. Let me grab my gloves. And I got my rags. And that's what we're going to use for application. So hopefully this goes good. And what I'm going to attempt to do, at least the way Dan did it from Guns and Guitars, is he applied the black and then let that soak in and dry a bit. Then he sanded the middle, kind of where he wants the next part of the burst to pop through. So what I may do is, since we only have two colors, I might mix a little bit of the red and black to have a slightly darker red, and then we're going to go from dark black to dark red to the normal red tone. We'll have to see how it applies first. So we'll start with that black. Alright, so we let it dry a bit, and I'm kind of liking the way that it's looking. I don't know the detail you can see, but it kind of has a nice brushed finish type of look. I kind of like it, and I was contemplating just leaving it as is because I think it looks really cool. But I did a little test on a piece of password that I had just to kind of see what it would look like if we did do a little red with the black. Now the wood grain's a bit different and everything, but I kind of think that would look cool with a little bit of red accents. So I'm thinking maybe instead of a burst, we'll just put a coat of red on top of it, and then get those red accents popping through. Alright, well, we had something interesting happen. Let me show you this first. We decided to sand the headstock that was the all black stain, and then I did it similar to how I did the body. I think this turned out so awesome, and I really liked the way that looked. Liked it so much, in fact, that I couldn't replicate it on the body. I tried a few different times off camera. Well, I should say I filmed some of it, but it was looking like garbage when I tried to apply more. So we went and did this. I think it's gonna be worth it though. Alright, so I know it might be a bit disappointing getting to the end of the video and kind of seeing all the progress he made get sanded away. But I do think it's going to be a lot better and way worth it. I feel the final finishing colors and dyes and everything that we chose were much better. And I even contemplated just eliminating all that and going right into the final steps. But I wanted to keep it as honest as possible and show you the changes, even if they occur last minute. And even put my mistakes in there as well, just to keep it honest and so you can see the full extent of the build. Try not to dwell on anything too much, but just want you to get an idea of kind of what we're going through. And since this is my first time, there's definitely got to be changes and mistakes being made, and I think it's been, definitely a learning experience. But with that being said, I do want to have something kind of more fun and exciting at the end of the video. Just so you can kind of see what is to come. Next video we should be going into showing you the final stages of the finishing, the clear coats we're going to be putting on, and hopefully the assembly and everything. Maybe some sound samples. We'll have to see kind of how long this takes me. But I do want to show you some of the accessories that we do have that came in. Pretty much everything came in except for the strap locks, but I do have this as a point of reference. So we just went with the Dunlop strap locks. So it's going to be pretty much the same as this. That's on my ESP. These are the dual design, which you can use as a strap lock or just a regular strap button. So that will be good for any type of situation you're in. The only difference is that I got black ones because I'm going with all black hardware. And we do have a awesome Graphtec black tusk nut. That's what we're going with for the V. And as you can see, it is the Epiphone style, so the spacing is the exact as what already came on the V. So that's going to be good with minimal modifications to the nut. We'll be able to probably just put it on there and maybe just deepen the slots and hopefully smooth it out, and we should be good to go. We'll have to see kind of what it's looking like as we put it on there. For the bridge pickup, I went with a GFS crunchy rail, and this is an older model GFS. As you can see, it has the regular wiring for the solder. Nowadays, you're going to have something more like this. This is the neck pickup we chose. This is the GFS crunchy pat, and I went with the zebra on that. And you can see it has the quickie plug system. We can still use this as a solder connection, and that's what we're going to do because that's sort of the wiring that I had already in place for it. Let's just go back to this pickup. This is the crunchy rail pickup, very specced out, similar to a dime bucker. So we're still going with that dime kind of theme to this V, and I think it's going to sound awesome. It's very similar in spec. I haven't played this exact model, but I have played other GFS pickups, and they've all been really good. So I think that's going to be a good bridge pickup for it. And this neck pickup, the crunchy pat, initially I was going to go with the 59 model that's kind of cloned after 59 of GFS. They were out of stock of a lot of their items, so I didn't go that route. And that's partially why I bought this used, is because that wasn't in stock at the time, and I got it a lot cheaper. But I did find this probably a better option. It's similar to the 59 in spec, just slightly hotter. So you're still going to get that nice PAF sound, but going to have a little bit more oomph to it, a little more sustain, I think. So kind of happy the way that ended up. Then this is just our wiring diagram. I'm sorry, our wiring harness. I just thought that might be an easier option. And it's from Dragonfire. I'll just show you kind of what it's looking like. So here we just have 2 volumes and a tone, our 3-way toggle, and then our input jack. And then we have our pots and our capacitors and everything. The knobs are just on there. They come free with it, so I just chose the white because I have a couple Strats. They probably can use that. I have actual other knobs. I don't have them handy, but they're the speed knobs that Dime used with the solder burns in it. So I have those misplaced. I bought those a long time ago, so I gotta find them. But that's the wiring harness we're going with. I just thought I would keep it easy and won't have to worry about wiring too much. And it was really fair price. Dragonfire has awesome stuff as well, and very easy to deal with. Super quick on shipping. These are the tuners. I've had some similar to this. I don't have GFS ones, but I have Music Lily, and they are really good. And GFS had a good deal on these. Alright, finally got it out. So you can see they're like the locking tuners in black. So that's what we're going with for the tuners. And I got this on Amazon. It's just a cheap neck plate in black. So hopefully that works out alright. It has one of those plastic covers. Probably won't use that, but it does have a metal plate as well. And we have our Tune-O-Matic style bridge for from GFS as well as the GFS tailpiece. So hopefully that all goes well, and we'll be able to get that all set and hopefully be able to see it and hear it in the next video. So that's an update on some of the parts. That should be about everything, and I'll see you next time, and hopefully we'll get this thing done. Have a good one.